Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hailey Royal and I'm going to be talking to you today about the defense industry. So more specifically, I want to talk about how the United States used to be the leading producer of STEM graduates in the world, but now we're a distant third, and what that means for the industry. So I'm going to talk, in terms of an agenda, I want to talk about three main things. First, I'll hit on the national defense strategy challenges that we're facing as a nation. I'll move into defense spending and wrap it up with a little bit more about the STEM graduates. My hope is that by the end of this, you'll understand how these things are related as well as the importance of them. So first, I'll talk about the national defense strategy challenges. In my mind, I lump it into three categories: the rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, and the revival of terrorism. And I'll start with China. Currently, there's a South China Sea dispute going on where essentially China is building these huge man-made artificial islands in the middle of the South China Sea. Seems kind of odd, right? Well, the problem with that is that not only are they building them, not only do they not technically own the territory, but they're militarizing them. And what I mean by that is they're bringing anti-jamming equipment onto the island, which disrupts radar, communication systems, satellite systems. And as recently as a couple months ago, they brought missiles to the island, so anti-ship missiles as well as surface-to-air missiles. The reason why this poses such a big problem is because the South China Sea sits right in the middle of a huge shipping passage. So roughly $5 trillion of trade goes through the shipping passage on a yearly basis. That's 1/3 of all the maritime trade that happens in the world is passing through the South China Sea. So you can see why that would be a problem, that they've claimed it as their own as well as militarizing it. Next, I'll talk about Russia. Russia has been flexing their muscles a little bit. They're investing tons of money into updating a lot of their equipment, their planes, their tanks, their submarines. And I don't know whether you knew this or not, but we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles of huge cables that line the ocean seabeds that's responsible for the transmission of internet traffic. So these cables are responsible for 95% of all the traffic. So this is military, civilian, classified, unclassified. And our fear as the United States is that Russia gets upset with us and they go down and they either sever one of the wires that I just discussed, or they tap into it to try to solicit information that they could potentially use against us. And lastly is the overarching resurgence of terrorism, whereas we have things that we are constantly concerned about, such as Al-Qaeda, ISIS, North Korea, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons. All of these things we have to be concerned about as an industry. So next I want to get into the defense spending. So as you can see, defense spending over the past 50 years has been steadily increasing. So the government recognizes that the defense industry is where we need to be pouring a lot of money because it's a matter of safety. So similar to what Russia is doing, we also need to recapitalize a lot of our equipment, we need to train personnel, and we need to be able to increase the production of a lot of our staple programs that we use in combat on a regular basis. Now I'll get into STEM graduates. So I started this off and I said we used to be the leader and now we're a distant third. Well, now you can see just how distant of a third place we are. China is producing more honors engineering graduates on a yearly basis than we're producing in total. The problem with this is you have the Northrops, the Boeings, the Raytheon, all the defense industry companies are competing for the same pool of resources. We're just stealing from each other because there's not enough people to fill all the roles. And the other problem is a lot of these classified government programs don't accept foreign engineers. So we need to consider maybe revisiting this policy if we want to be able to staff the programs appropriately and meet the customer demands. So, in conclusion, I hope now that you can see how these three things are related and that you agree with me in terms of we need to continue pumping more money into the defense industry, but we also need to continue promoting STEM so that we are able to produce the engineers and the personnel that we need to be able to staff the programs and meet the customer demands and ultimately, keep our country safe. If we don't continue to move forward in terms of our technological capabilities and what we're able to do, these other countries will soon surpass us. Thank you.